Hello, welcome to Video Mania 2. I'm the dude manning the counter, Duncan, and today we're going to talk about, as promised, American Ninja 3 and 4. Now, American Ninja 3, let's start off with that one first, has several changes they made. Hope you can see it there. Anyway, the changes that were made were Michael Dudikoff did not return as Joe Armstrong, but Steve James as Curtis Jackson did, and they brought in a newcomer named David Bradley, and he plays a character named Sean Davidson. And also, Sam Furstenberg, who directed the first two, did not return, and they brought in a man named Cedric Sundstrom. And he adds a nice wrinkle to this, actually. I think in some ways, his direction was a little more efficient and smooth in certain respects. I love Sam Furstenberg. He did a lot of great martial arts movies. But Cedric Sundstrom, his touch changed things a little bit. And I kind of liked it in a way. Now, let's get right into the story of American Ninja 3. I'm not going to comment too much why Michael Dudikoff did not return because I really don't know. I mean, there's different rumors and stuff you can look up, but I'm not going to comment on what may or may not have happened. Anyway, he's not there. So, Cannon Films brought in David Bradley, like I said, and Sean Davidson's a new character of the American Ninja franchise. And they start out, he's a kid, and he sees his dad murdered at a karate tournament by this evil guy named General Andreas, and they rob the karate tournament. And he's with a guy named the Cobra, and they rob this tournament to get money to raise for the biolab in this secret island, to build a biological weapon. So Sean Davidson is raised by his sensei, Izumo, and so he learns martial arts, and obviously you know where it goes from there. And David Bradley actually does pretty good with this role. It wasn't the most developed role for him, but he did the best he could here. And he was kind of put in an unfair position because, when a band loses a member, one of your favorite bands, you're like, it's not the same, it's not right, we want the old guy back. And it's not fair to the new guy, he's kind of put in a tough position. And that's kind of the way it is here with David Bradley. Because I remember when I heard about American Ninja 3, like one of my best friends was like, don't see American Ninja 3. Michael Dudikoff's not in there, and it really wasn't that great, and it was a little bit different. And the movie, over the years, has grown on me. I'm going to explain why in a minute. But back to the story. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked there. Sean Davidson's now grown, and they go to this island, and he meets Curtis Jackson from the first two. Steve James, he's back, and the charisma's still there, but he doesn't play off David Bradley as well as he did Michael Dudikoff. But Steve James was just so great, so he was good in anything. So he was good here. And there's also a comedic sidekick there for comic relief. His name's Dexter, played by Evan J. Klisser. And a lot of people didn't like him, but I did. He's the comic relief, and he does his job here. Now, the Cobra also happens to be on the same island where this karate tournament is. And so he's building this biological weapon, and he needs to test it on this Ultimate Warrior. And then they discover Sean Davidson. I'm like, let's test it on him. So he's kind of tricked because there's this lady ninja played by Michelle B. Chan. Her name's Chan Lee. And she's may or may not be on their side. She's kind of a mysterious ninja, but she adds a nice wrinkle to this. So they're trying fresh things to keep this franchise going, which I appreciated. So she adds a nice element to it, and so they chase after her because she can disguise herself, and she disguises herself as Sean Davidson's sensei, Izumo, and he goes pursuing who he thinks is Izumo, and he gets attacked by ninjas. And then Jackson comes to help him, and Dexter comes to help him too. And he keeps saying, they took Izumo to this secret lair, so he wants to break in. And then they get to this cool paragliding sequence, like go-karts with a hang glider. It's really cool. So that was one of my favorite sequences of the whole movie. And so they infiltrate this lair and find out what the Cobra's all about. And the story takes place, there's the ninja fights that we've all come to love from this franchise. Now, why the movie has grown on me is because David Bradley didn't get a fair shake in a lot of ways, and that's just entertainment business sometimes. And I thought he could have done more with his career had he been given more opportunities. But he was a good martial artist, and he had a good screen presence, so he did all right. It's just he just wasn't Dudikoff, so fans were kind of turned away, or some were. Now the movie overall, give it 4 stars. It was fun, but one flaw you can see is Jackson. Steve James in here, he's like, ninjas again. And it's a little too believable. It's kind of like the characters run its course. I'm like, everywhere I go, there's ninjas. And so that character had kind of run its course, but Steve James still makes it go. But you kind of believe him a little too much. And so American Ninja 3, I'll give 4 stars because it's free to stream on Tubi if you're interested. And it did some cool things. So it's grown on me over the years, and I'm glad I have it. And I still watch it every summer, along with the other American Ninja films. But it's pretty good. The music's got that cool 80s techno thing to it. So, I mean, it's pretty solid. Obviously, not as good as the first 2, but it's still a fun ride. Now, we'll get into American Ninja 4, which has David Bradley and Michael Dudikoff. See that there? Now, this was a fun story. I was with one of my best friends. I was jamming on guitar and he's playing his drums. We were in the basement in New Jersey, jamming around. We were into that. And it was, just trying to get the last few days of the warm weather in Jersey because it was September. And his brother and his mom, their mom, came home. And they came down the basement and were like, hey guys, we rented some movies. And I'm like, I looked at my best friend, I'm like, we really want to watch a movie right now? Not really. What do you have? We have this and American Ninja 4. American Ninja 4. We all stopped what we were doing. It was a beautiful day out. No, that VCR was cut on within 3 minutes. We grabbed some sodas and sat right down. And their dad, too, who watched all these great B movies with us, he sat down, too. We all dropped what we were doing because it was American Ninja 4, the return of Michael Dudikoff here. So Joe Armstrong was going to return. Now, when we sat down and watched, this movie is a fun ride. It's over the top. It's Canon Films. Cedric Sundstrom returns again, so he has that efficient and smooth quality here, and that's still here too. And the movie starts out, there's a Delta Force, trying to penetrate the secret lair of ninjas, and they fail miserably because there's these 2 villains, Mulgrew and another guy, I think he was Sheik, and played by James Booth and Ron Smirzak, respectively. And they are both probably the most over-the-top great villains of this movie. James Booth was a canon staple. He played a lot of villains. He was British, and he knew how to play sadistic characters, and he does this exceptionally well here. So, they're in an evil lair, and they're developing a super powerful weapon that can be fit in a suitcase, and, the world is on the brink. So, they're protected by these Red Faction army of super ninjas. And so Sean Davison now works for the CIA, and he takes his partner away from a wedding altar, and they go into the island to get in there. And they meet a Peace Corps doctor named Sarah, played by the late Robin Still of Slumber Party Massacre. Beautiful actress. Her career is kind of tragic Hollywood story. But she's in here, and her character is actually pretty good and compelling, and she helps them out in their journey. But Mulgrew and the ninjas eventually capture them and stop them. And earlier, Sean suggested, let's get in Joe Armstrong. Just call him. He'll come help. But Joe Armstrong was burnt from all of the killing, and so he teaches kids. And he's off in the woods somewhere. But the CIA finds him, of course, and they're like, your friend Sean's been captured, and a Peace Corps doctor, Sarah. We need you now more than ever. I know you're not into this anymore, but we need you. And so Michael Dudikoff, the character that put him on the map, he returns. And he flies in, and he has to go to Sulphur Springs where these Mad Max style people, he needs their help to take down Mulgrew and the ninja army. So he convinces them that he's the real deal. and that's when the action picks up. And it is a fun ride. It was 90 minutes. I absolutely love it. This movie had a pretty grand scale, actually, and it sends the American Ninja franchise out on top, with a good romp. Now, I will give it 4 stars as well, because there is one real complaint is Shawn and Joe didn't fight alongside each other hardly at all, and I would have liked to have seen that. The 2 American ninjas join and go after it, and it wasn't. They fought very minimal together, and it was I thought that was kind of a wasted opportunity. So that's my one gripe, but overall this movie is a blast. I love it. The American Ninja franchise has a special place in my heart for B-movie martial arts. These were it. And so, all in all, these sequels deliver. They know what the audience wants, and it brings that entertainment value and knows what its audience wants. Kind of like a James Bond movie or Mission Impossible. They know the audience and they deliver. And that's what this does. They want ninjas and actions and all sorts of craziness. That's what these do. Now, there was an American Ninja 5, but it was actually called a different movie. It had David Bradley, but Cannon Films was plummeting at this point. And so they just called American Ninja 5, try to make a couple bucks just to salvage what was left of Cannon Films, because they were able to make American Ninja 4, but the struggles in 91 were starting to show, and they held on for as long as they could. But there's some fascinating documentaries on Cannon Films if you haven't seen them. There's 2 of them, and they're both excellent, and you can learn about them. But Cannon Films, their staple shows here. So those are 2 movies, both available to stream for free on Tubi, so I recommend you check them out if you like some cheesy action, because they're great. Now, I'll close this out by saying I got some more reviews coming up. And like and subscribe if you like old movies and think, Hollywood, there's not much. It's just remakes and sequels, even though I talk about sequels here, and sometimes remakes. But anyway, if you want to see something different or things you haven't discovered, check out this channel. Like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I'm starting to get some feedback. So we're trying to grow this thing. So please join. We'd love to have you. And that's all I have for tonight. And take care, and I'll see you next time.